something else exactly without actually going through a lot of hoops. These are the basic principles on which, based on the which the FIDO is. These are the unique benefits of FIDO. Most of the stuff, actually FIDO is the first organization where it is a client-server protocol. It is not a TCG where you're talking about client-side chipset for security. It is not a SAML or Federation protocols, which is completely only talking about server-side. It is not global platform, which talks about in security in the mobile chips and stuff. This is, FIDO is a client-server. You have client pieces. Like I was mentioning, it's not enough if you say that, my house is pretty secure, but main door is open to all. That's not, when you want to have a fully secure system, end-to-end has to be secure. That's why FIDO is the first protocol where it can start all the way from chipset on the hardware and goes all the way to the server. Each one of them, have a role to play. And there is a benefits is the ecosystem itself is comprising of almost every company that matters in your day-to-day life, except Apple, unfortunately. Apple has not joined FIDO Alliance yet, but they are part of the web authentication group where they'll be embracing FIDO through browser protocols. The ecosystem is actually doing a lot of the legwork for you. They are thinking far ahead, like Ravi was mentioning earlier. Things that were relevant 3 years ago may not be relevant 3 years from now. Fingerprint using on a touch ID or cell phone, we didn't probably think of some time ago. It's here now. Tomorrow somebody might come and say, lick the phone, we'll connect your DNA, make sure it's you. And do you want to go back and change all the infrastructure for that? That's where the standard open bodies, they are looking ahead for you. They're actually looking about what's coming. Most of the heavy lifting is done by them. So you can simply sit and relax. 10 years ago, when there is an iPhone Touch ID and when there is a PC with a fingerprint sensor, the servers don't even know there is a device like that, and they don't even know how to use it. Thanks to FIDO now, they will know. They will know that, hey, this guy is coming through the network and this guy has a fingerprint sensor. Guess what? Let's go use FIDO for him. That's what the open standards will play into the ecosystem. Not to scare you, but these are the types of people that are in the industry that are part of FIDO Alliance. Recent addition to the board is VMware. VMware has joined the FIDO Alliance. We have Amazon, Facebook. If you consider from chipset standpoint, Intel and ARM are two core chipset processors. Those two guys both are on the board of FIDO. From operating system standpoint, you have Microsoft and Google. Google is the president, Microsoft is one of the vice presidents of the ecosystem. They are there. If you consider security chips, NXPs, Qualcomms are part of the ecosystem. You see the span of people that are there that are on the board of FIDO ecosystem. Most of the people are actually contributing to this and they are doing their part, just like the browsers, Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge, they are doing their part. So you really don't have to think about all those things. If you can fix like I said earlier, if somebody hacks your account, it's just inconvenience. Now, if somebody hacks into your account, it's not inconvenience anymore. It's a major lifestyle issue. Then you will, the issues that come with that are very, very catastrophic. And plus, like I said, the first step that you do anytime, that including, dealing with your network router at home, first thing you do is you send your password to authenticate it's you, even if it is your own home router. The alliance has gone so big, and you practically have any other alliance which is addressing security aspects, they all have embraced FIDO as the default authentication protocol. That's because by September, you will have every browser in the market that will have FIDO as part of the ecosystem and in the browser core infrastructure, just like SSL. You don't really have to worry about it. You can take it for granted. And these are, not one. In addition to this, you also have governments. You have United States government, Germany, UK, Japan, Korea, Australia, Israel. All of those governments have embraced FIDO. This is some of the growth that we had in FIDO, and this is probably one of the fastest growing standards bodies that that are in the history of technology, actually. And FIDO has been deployed in a very major customers, just so you guys know. Actually, all these guys have licensed. I'm just like I founded FIDO Alliance. I'm also founder of a commercial company called Knock Knock Labs. FIDO Alliance is a non-profit organization that's run by the board and membership, and that has its own governance board and all that stuff. Knock Knock Labs is the commercial implementer for is the first implementer of FIDO. Most of these companies have licensed technology from Knock Knock to include on the client side. And these are some of the phones, and Docomo, PayPal, the scale at which, one of the things that Ashok was mentioning, I think Ravi, one of those two were mentioning about the need for a scalable solution. I mean, you cannot, if you don't scale that to the internet infrastructure level, you don't really have a solution. Knock Knock has been very successful in deploying FIDO in some major customers across the globe. And PayPal, Alipay, Docomo, T-Mobile, SoftBank, Cigna, E-Trade, these are some of the customers who have deployed FIDO in a large scale today. You know, if you see Docomo, every service that is delivered by Docomo on their Docomo phones is completely FIDO enabled. You don't necessarily have to, you don't know password, you don't have to have any password. RS5 from Microsoft, Windows release that's coming in September, is completely going to be FIDO. When you open a Windows Hello machine for business users particularly, you won't be creating passwords anymore. You'll just get on there, you'll look into the camera, or you'll swipe your finger. Azure, Active Directory, all of them are moving to FIDO. It's an announced thing. Google Services is FIDO. Salesforce.com, FIDO U2F. Google is FIDO U2F. Box.net. Bank of America is FIDO. Chrome, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge, all browsers will have FIDO at the core by September, and we are expecting that Safari will follow the suit. W3C has accepted FIDO as an authentication protocol, as a standard within the browser. These are some of the FIDO certified products. There are close to 450 to 500 different FIDO authenticators in the market that are certified by FIDO Alliance today. These are some of the FIDO-enabled services that I was mentioning, and I also told about the Knock Knock installations around the globe. And this is not a technology that is just coming up. It is proven, it is scaled, it's operating in a global infrastructure level. Like PayPal alone has 140 million subscribers. Alipay has 450 million subscribers. They all have embraced FIDO. So the conceptual stuff, it's not conceptual anymore. It's actually happening, and it's in the product in a global scales around the globe. So these are, and Korea and Japan are completely FIDO. They are far more advanced than any other country where they have deployed FIDO in a much larger scale. And these are the regulations that I was talking about. National Institute of Standards Technology, NIST, actually participates in FIDO on a regular basis. Same thing with UK government, British government, and then some of the cybersecurity standards and guidelines mentions FIDO by name. So this is a little more about the specifications. U2F is about having a specific USB dongle, and that is built on user ID password, but UAF is completely reads off the password today. And FIDO2, which is browser-based stuff, also removes the password completely. So these are the developments with respect to what browser is trying to do. And after this, I'm going to have my colleague Mahendra to actually show you the demos of how the user experience is going to be. That is something, you close the computer, and from the time you open the computer, how can you use a phone to be the second factor? How can your phone You have to have the phone and authenticate that right from the time when you open the computer to any service that you go out globally. Your phone can be the authenticating token without using any SMSs, without using any of that stuff. Very simple user experience. And that can be any service. That is, as you guys know, Google is cloud, Amazon Web Services is cloud, Microsoft is moving, everything is moving to the cloud. And in that scenario, you have to know, if you're a global enterprise, who is using my Office 365? Is it going to be really my employee or somebody else? You know, you have to have a very strong track of how your resources are being used, whether they're being used properly or not. And most importantly, like I mentioned, if it is not easy to use, each time when you are going from one service to the other service, if they keep asking you, what's your password, then you won't use that. That's why you have this all single sign-on stuff and SAML stuff that came into picture, that to reduce the need for asking the user for user ID and password every single time. But that's also an attack threat. After you log in and then log into your Active Directory, if you just step out by talking to the phone, which is a common thing, you walk somewhere else, somebody else comes in, you're already logged in. From there, if you want to go to your human resources thing or some other thing, SAML will assert because you're already logged into the domain, then that somebody else can do all damage that is required. And that is very common, that's called friendly fraud. You have these issues that are coming out there, so you need to be very careful. Can you challenge the user anytime that you want to see if that's the actually guy who is doing the stuff? Like, for instance, when you get into some site like Amazon or PayPal or a Google, without you actually putting your username and password, about 99% certainty they already know who you are. It's just that when you log in, get into Amazon and add stuff to your cart, when you're ready to go buy, that's when they ask one more time, hey, what's your password? To make sure it is really you. Actually, they don't need to, but that's also an attack vector, you know. So what I mean to say is the people, the server side actually knows to majority. The reason why they do all that kind of funny stuff without you knowing who you are, what they are doing about you, only time they ask you for your password is when they want to conduct a transaction. That's because they don't want to ask you for password every time. When you get every time ask for password, it is quite possible that you may get, vexed up with that and abandon the cart and go somewhere else. That's why they don't ask you. Same thing, if the password, instead of password, every time you simply come up with a challenge where you can send the right response with a single gesture, like I mentioned, one touch, one phrase, one speak, one blink, then user does not get bothered because he doesn't have to remember anything. It's a natural thing that they need to do. Hey, swipe, speak one phrase, look into the camera and blink. These are very simple, natural things to do. So with that, and this is about the details about, we had earlier FIDO U2F as one of the protocols which uses that external dongle, and you have FIDO UAF protocol which eliminates the password completely. FIDO CTAP uses a phone as a token, or any external thing can be a second factor. And universal server is something that will embrace all those protocols for you, and the password problem is not something that's created by anyone in this room. It's an old 60-year-old problem, and it is not going to get solved overnight. There is going to be a transition period. There is going to be a password for some time to come. And that's why you need to have a server which can cater to what is today and then take us through the transition point. That's universal server. So these are some of the things that I already mentioned. So with that, I'm going to ask Mahindra, my colleague, to do the demos. That will actually speak a lot, and that you will get a clear picture on how the user experience is going to be. And bottom line, you have to remember, once you see the user experience, there is no password involved. So there is really nobody who can go to a server and hack you or steal your password. There is no password to be stolen anymore, and they cannot put a keylogger to see what kind of password you are typing. With that, thanks very much. Any questions you guys have, I'll be here to answer those things. But I would like you guys to take a look at the demo that Mahindra is going to give. Thanks.
Thank you, Ramesh.